Welcome back.
Welcome back to Rose and Prose. We are back in the same house.
Yay.
Yay.
After weeks of travel, great journeys have been made. Tell us about some of the highlights of your trip. We went to New York. That was one thing. We went to New York and we went to the Met and we went to our family farm, which was great.
We went and saw Suffs on Broadway.
Yeah, if you have
not seen it, you have to go.
It's very inspiring. And I say this as someone who assigns suffragist literature and feminist literature in his American Lit classes. I was truly, truly impressed. I mean, like Hamilton level history lesson that was completely digestible. I loved it. I thought it was great. If there was like a video version that I could assign to my students, 100% would assign it. It was that good.
Hopefully one day. I definitely think it's on the trajectory of Hamilton.
Yeah.
It's the story of the suffragists. And this past week,
not
suffragettes, Rachel Maddow, but suffragettes. 124 years since women gained the right, or since it was ratified that women have the right to vote. Of course, it took many, many, many years later until Black women were also afforded the same right.
Yeah.
But they did an amazing job telling the story. And it was really inspiring, and they are trying to get out the vote right now. Perfect timing. And it was really inspiring, and learned a lot of history too, which was great.
And then we diverged. We went separate ways. I drove across the country back to New Orleans. It was
Brave.
I don't know if it was brave. It was nice scenery. It was good alone time. But you went the opposite direction entirely. Tell us about your journey.
I went to the land of the Kennedys. I was on the Cape. That's Cape Cod, Massachusetts. And spent a week with my best friend Victoria. Made her suffer through The Bachelorette. And had a lot of dog time, which was fantastic. Her dog Oliver is
the most well-behaved dog ever. And I say that as someone who is not a dog person.
Yeah.
Oliver is great.
He was texting saying, "Hey, can you send me a picture of Oliver?" Like,
yeah,
that's a big deal, y'all. If you have not yet met Randall, that's a big deal that he wants to see a dog photo.
I think what I appreciate as someone who was traumatized early by dogs, I think what I appreciate is just how truly calm Oliver is. Like, I've never seen Oliver in that yapping mode. Like, you've told me that Oliver barks. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I've ever heard that. Maybe once. Mm-hmm. I think that he is just so chill, so calm, so polite. I mean, I think that Victoria, in one of the trips, had put a bow tie on Oliver, and I was like, bingo, that is Oliver. He will always be a perfect little gentleman.
Yes,
so.
He is. He is a very good dog. He patiently watched The Bachelorette, too. And then a lot of the convention. But
the Democratic convention, you say?
Any
thoughts on that? I have many thoughts on that.
What do you want to say, Randall?
I'm sure they can be assumed. If you have not registered to vote, if you're watching this and you've not yet registered to vote, gosh, I cannot encourage you strongly enough, with strong enough language. You need to get registered to vote. There's all this rhetoric around every election cycle that this is the greatest election of your time. You have to do it. I would dial that down. I would just say you really do need to register to vote. Just as a process, you can decide to vote at that point. So,
it's a privilege. It's a exercise of our civic duty. I'm learning a lot about civic duty thanks to this book by two women called Democracy in Retrograde. Learning about our civic personalities, right? You're more creative. I'm more of a giver. I remember a couple years ago we handed out homemade cookies at the polls while people were waiting in line. Maybe this year we'll drive folks to the polls.
Maybe.
Help get more people, because New Orleans usually has a really bad voter turnout, and we want to encourage folks to register to vote and to actually go out and vote.
Yes, we do.
Whomever you choose to vote for. Okay, let's get...
You're great at segues. You just have to laugh. That's your segue.
Let's get into The Bachelorette. So we have not one episode, but 2 episodes to talk about tonight.
Wow.
And we're already 5 minutes into this. Luckily, Randall was bored, so that'll be easy to get through. Not hometown. Fantasy suite dates this week. 3 guys, Jonathan, Marcus, and Devin. Final 3. They go to Hawaii. It looked lovely. It was like way more jungle than beach, which I really enjoyed. I haven't seen enough of the jungle part of Hawaii and would love to go back.
Yeah, you've been to Hawaii.
Oh, to Maui once, but there are other islands to explore. You have never been.
You had more of the volcano tour, if I recall.
I did wake up early and go see the volcano bright and early. Haleakala.
That is right after we met. We met, and then shortly thereafter, you went to Hawaii, and I was really excited for you. I remember being really excited that you were able to go, and so she was texting me at local time, 5 a.m. I don't know what it would be here, but I remember you were texting me, and I was just like, "That's so cool."
It's very cold. So they went to Hawaii. It was very interesting. I saw this Instagram post that was like, Devin says, "I love you." Jenn just stares at him. Marcus says, "I like you, but I can't say I'm falling in love with you." And Jenn says, "Oh, you're so sweet. I really like you." And then Jonathan says, I don't know you at all. And Jen's like, "I'm so in love with you."
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that.
I think I butchered that, but you get the idea.
No, I think you nailed it. I think that I think that it is very unfair. And this is my opinion. So this is my white, middle-aged man opinion. I think that we make a lot out of women having daddy issues. And I even made a comment of that as we were watching the episode, that like her father issues are on display pretty strong, that she would chase a guy who is not interested in her, and the guy who is definitely effusively interested in her has said that he loves her. She just sits there and stares at him and has nothing to say. And so I think that that is symptomatic of daddy issues. However, this is my opinion, is that I think that all of us have issues from our parents. I think that that is just an inescapable thing. I tease my mother, I tease my father about their issues with their own parents. I have my own issues. I talk about this with my parents regularly. I think that all of us carry around issues, and at some point it's not frustrating. It just feels sad because it's so relatable that she has someone in her circle. Granted, this is a TV show, but she has someone in her circle who is just clearly over the moon for her. I mean, even other guys who don't even like Devin are saying, like, yeah, like, no question. From day one, he has been on her side. He has taken her side. He has supported her. He has been enthusiastic. He has shown up. He has been there mentally and emotionally. And for her to match that with dead silence and instead chase someone who outright says, "I don't know how I feel about you," and continues to say that, I don't know what to make of that, except to say that I feel sad for her. because not in judgment, but because it's so very relatable. I think that we all kind of have had stories like that where we go after people who don't like us, and for some reason it's the fact that they don't like us, it makes us like them more. You have thoughts on that?
No. It also feels relatable that sometimes you need to take time to process, and that maybe you're so caught off guard or taken aback that someone feels a way about you that you're very surprised, and you need time to process what that means and how it makes you feel, contributes to how you feel. And so I think we see that a little later on. So part 2 of the episode was at the beginning of the Men Tell All. And what we see at the end of last night's episode was Devin walking in the hallway, going to talk to Jenn, that just as he professes his love to her, he is now feeling extremely insecure because she did not reply.
Right.
And I think we saw that across the board, that everyone was kind of having their own insecurities because they weren't hearing her say
definitely
a response. And so he's going to kind of say, like, hey, I'm having a really hard time. Like, I profess my love to you, and I don't think I can do this if you don't feel the same way. And whether it was editing or whatever, it seems like even still it took her some time to ultimately say that...
we just had a light malfunction. That's what that blinking was.
That she is also falling in love with him, and that she admits she's not good with her words, and that it takes time for her to process. And I will give her a break that she's the Bachelorette, and for the longest time it was... oh, you shouldn't tell people that you're also in love with them if because then you're, showing your cards when you still have multiple people out there. But, she ultimately came around and said it to him. And she had also said it to, was it to Jonathan or to Marcus?
At this point, I don't know anymore. Not only do I not know, but I don't think that I care. Yeah.
You're ready for the season to be over, I know.
I feel like she is so immature, so emotionally immature, that whoever she ends up with, I just don't have high hopes for it. Because of that reason. I mean, her explanation to Devin was to cry and to say, oh, well, you're more expressive than I am. I'm not very good with words. Learn. Pick up a dictionary, pick a word, like use your words. And I don't buy it. I don't buy that she's not as verbally developed as Devin. I don't buy it. And here's why, is because she has been saying to guys, I think I'm falling in love with you. I like you. She knows those words. She has them in her vocabulary. She was silent when Devin said that. Even if she's choosing not to show her cards, which I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt on that, to sit in silence, I think is terrible. You can say something wrong, but to say nothing at all is so much worse. I think that even
when you say worse, like because of how it makes the other person feel, or because why?
Well, I think let's see this in complete reverse. Like, let's take this out of the positive and let's take this into something terrible. If someone in your immediate orbit, one of your friends, if they are going through a tough time, or if they have lost someone, you say, oh man, that sucks, or you say something. To meet it with complete silence is truly an abandonment of that relationship. And that's what I feel she did. And so even in a positive way, like how would you feel if I said, oh my gosh, I love you so much, you're the most beautiful person, I'm so glad that I married you, and you were like,
thank you, Randall.
Exactly. Like, you don't know what to say. You're truly at a loss for that. You're forced to say something. I think silence is so much worse, because it's a complete abandonment of the relationship, whether positive or negative. I think that it's a devaluation in that situation. It was a devaluation of Devin, and I think again that she is emotionally underdeveloped. I think that she still has room to grow. I would like to give her the benefit of the doubt.
What age did they say that our brains stop developing?
I think for women, it is earlier than guys. Guys, I think the latest study that I saw is that guys don't have a fully formed brain until late into their 30s, whereas women have a fully developed brain in their mid-20s. So
she's in her mid-20s, so maybe her brain's still developing.
let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Sure.
You know, there's a lot of pressure on her as the first Asian American lead. And, you know, a lot was said about the way that they announced her as the lead. Even in the Men Tell All tonight, we heard people talking about, oh, it was going to be Maria or it was going to be Daisy. And I think it's a real shame that people are still kind of talking about that and not giving her the credit that she deserves, that the producers chose her for who she is and the journey that we could go on. I mean, I know that you think she's emotionally underdeveloped, and I also really enjoyed her season because she was adventurous. She was willing to take risks physically, whether it was skydiving or jumping off a building or
animals, handling snakes, spiders.
Yeah, all those different things. I think that she was like about that adventure instead of being afraid of the adventure.
Yeah, she was definitely about the adventure and not about the people that were around her. I would absolutely agree with that.
I think you just left me speechless.
Make memories, not relationships. Yeah. So tonight's episode was where the guys came back together, their tell all, and I think that the host said it correctly. This was a very dramatic season. The guys banged their chests, shook their arms, rattled their cages, did everything that they could to present themselves as the alpha male, and then in the replay, it just looks sad. I mean, Jenn came out and even told Sam M, like, I think seeing what I did not see in person, but seeing it in the replay, and then she had some pretty harsh words for him, basically putting him back in his place and saying, what was the last thing she said? Is like she felt bad for whoever he wound up with next because he still had so much growth to experience.
You all may have remembered earlier in an earlier episode, we talked about how his family came to his defense and all of this criticism. Oh, it's the producers, it's the editing, it's this, it's that. And it was so very clear as the episodes progressed. And then even tonight at the Men Tell All, when he took the hot seat, that Sam M did apologize on stage for his behaviors. More so, he apologized for, I want to say, his word choice.
Yeah.
But never said, like, yeah, you're right, I didn't feel things for her. He did admit he thought it was Maria or Daisy. But, yeah, I just felt like he was a huge disappointment. I did not see any real growth from him by watching back his season.
Yeah.
It was messy.
So
whereas I think like Sam N grew a lot from having his first girlfriend be Jenn.
My eyes just rolled into the next state.
I'm being a little lighthearted, but
sure.
Yeah, I think, I think that they got the most drama with Sam M, and then you were
for sure
in the back, and you heard me screaming, and that's
Yeah.
the other place where we saw maybe more growth was that, they showed bloopers, and then they said, oh, well, one of the best scenes, although it wasn't really a blooper, it was actually Hakeem and the spider, and so they showed it, and then they actually bring out apparently the largest spider on the planet. I don't know what it's called, but it definitely was the size of my hand.
Yeah. See, that's where their budget went. They didn't have a budget for champagne, but they had a budget to bring that spider out.
I'm so glad you remembered that. It is so irritating to me, y'all. Why are we seeing Corbell on The Bachelorette?
They know their audience.
Listen, I know that I went to a bougie school, but Corbell is not bougie. Corbell is $6 a bottle of sparkling wine. You can do better than that.
Look, when I was in college, even in grad school, I would say that Corbell felt fancy to me. I mean, The Bachelor and The
But
Bachelorette,
they're adults. They're not
Right.
in college.
they know their audience, and their audience is going to look at that and go, "Oh wow, that's the fancy stuff." Next time they have a party, that's what they're grabbing off the shelf.
What I'm hearing is that I am no longer their audience as a millennial. And maybe this is going to be
Yes.
our last season
Because when
talking about The Bachelorette.
when we went to Paris, you wanted to tour all the champagne houses in France, and I'm just like, a bottle of champagne is a bottle of champagne, whether it's $6 or $60.
But it was not once you went, right?
I will give you.
You tasted some
Yeah.
Veuve, you tasted some Taittinger. We went on that nice tour with all of the cellars underneath where it was a lot colder, and
It
you
was
were
lovely.
really impressed.
I was halfway into the glass. I was like, "This is amazing."
But you could taste the difference, could you not?
I remember it fondly. That's what I will say. And I will say that it did not taste. It tasted better than the champagne that I was accustomed to. That's
Yes.
what I will say on that.
Well, maybe
So-
we'll be opening some Taittinger
So
on November 5th.
I'll throw this out, is that I think that the tell-alls on both The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and even The Golden Bachelor now, that it's just such high-intensity drama. But I will say this. I think that the audience needs an episode like that because we need to check in and we need to see if this cast of characters has learned everything.
Our video went out for a second,
Yeah,
folks.
don't know what happened there. I will say one of the things that we definitely need whenever we are reading romance novels or watching any movie, any TV show where romance is a factor, is that we need to see that the characters are growing and that they're developing. Even if they're still bad people, we still want to see that they are growing even a little bit. And so I would say I've hated Sam M from day one. I've never liked him. I've never liked his personality. But I will say that he at least seemed aware. And although that seems such a very low bar for him to pass, he finally seemed to recognize that bad-mouthing other guys, treating them with disrespect, being disrespectful to everyone, lying, gaslighting, covering it up, not being emotionally available, not being mentally available, wanting to just paw and claw all over Jenn. It seemed like he finally understood when the entire room was against him. Oh, I have some growing to do. And although that, again, is such a small bar to pass, I would like to say at least he did that. And that, I think, as a viewer, was something that we should not overlook. Jenn, although I have not been super interested in her as the weeks have gone on, I still have seen growth in her. And so I sincerely hope that she continues on that journey. I hope that is true for you. I hope that's true for me. I hope that's true for all of you as well. I think that we have to continually be open-minded and be in a growth mindset, that we don't have it all together, that the ways that we are approaching even our relationships with things that we believe are certain, like this is the way it is, that we're still growing and changing. And yeah, I think that we have definitely seen that with Jenn and with all the other guys. So
I respect that. I do think next week's episode will be interesting. It
sure.
is the finale. Jen's down to Marcus and Devin.
What do you think's gonna happen?
I am predicting that she is not ready to get engaged, but that she chooses someone and says, I want to be with you and I don't want to be engaged. That's my prediction. So, I mean, I can predict a specific person if you want, but my prediction is that, like, what's going to be different about this, because they always say, oh, unprecedented, da da da, like never done before, is that as the Bachelorette, she's going to walk away with a partner, but not a fiance.
I think she's gonna pick Devin.
I think so too.
And I think that all this drama of her going to the room and knocking on the door and leaving a rose on the pedestal, dramatic music, I think all that is just
You gotta
the
work
theater.
on your dun. It's dun dun dun.
Well, I thought it was dun dun dun. I was gonna do the dun dun dun, but I thought, everyone does the dun dun dun. I didn't want to be cliche with my dun dun dun. Anyway, I think what's going to happen, dun dun dun, is that she's going to knock on Marcus's door and say, "Hey, you've said that you're not really interested, and I need to stand up for myself." And if she does that, man, I'm going to be really proud of her. I think it's going to be great. So,
All right. Well,
Let's see you
we'll
next
see y'all
week.
next week.